Soup, thanks for blessing us again, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, so as we roll on here, we do have a special guest in the studio, man. We flip her on the screen right here. There she is. Wave to the crowd. It's Nemmy Jackson. She is running for office. She's hoping to become a senator here in 2018 in the Virgin Islands. Thanks for coming through. Welcome to our studio. How are you doing this evening?
I am blessed.
You're blessed?
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in, man. So we wanted to get you on our show here to talk about your platform and you know your objective for making the Virgin Islands better. So let's start from the very beginning. You were telling us before we started that you actually ran twice.
Yes.
Okay.
I did. In 2000 and 2002.
Okay. What was the motivation for that?
For running, I just wanted to be in a better capacity to help more people, because from the time I returned home, I have just went to work in serving my community, and I wanted to be in that capacity where I'll make a larger difference. But before I go into that, will you allow me to introduce myself to the listening audience? And I want to first and foremost, thank the Almighty for affording me this opportunity to be here with y'all this evening. I want to thank you, David and Soup, for having me.
You're welcome.
It is certainly a pleasure to be here. My name, like David said, is Ophelia Nemmy Williams Jackson.
Okay.
Everyone knows me by Nemmy, but that is just my nickname.
Okay.
It's the name I've been known by. I am a product of the public school system,
Okay.
graduating from St.Croix Central High School. I was born here on St.Croix in the United States Virgin Islands, and I rise from Grove Place in Frederickstead.
Okay.
Very significant. Freedom City.
Yes, sir.
After graduating from St. Croix Central High School, I was afforded an athletic scholarship, played basketball. And it afforded me the opportunity to higher education, and I went on to a historically black college, and I graduated with my Bachelor of Science degree in intermediate education. Later on, I attended Nova Southeastern University, and I obtained my master's degree in management and administration in education. When I returned home in 1984, I began my career working for the Virgin Islands government, and I worked for the Virgin Islands government in two departments, Virgin Islands Department of Education and Sports Park and Recreation. I serve as a teacher and the administrator for the alternative school Positive Connection. In the Department of Housing, Parks and Recreation, I served as Bureau Chief of Sports and Deputy Commissioner. I also worked in the United States Postal Service. I left the Virgin Islands government for about 4 years, and I worked as a distribution clerk for the federal government in the Kings Hill Post Office, where I served also as 204B supervisor. And in addition to that, I am very much involved, and I became involved in a lot of community-based organizations, and I served in leadership capacities in those organizations. I am one of the founding members of Nu Chi Zeta's chapter of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. I served as president and vice president of that organization. I served as the president of the Virgin Islands Volleyball Federation, president of the St. Croix Volleyball Association. I served as president of the Brownlee Berkeley Unit 133 Auxiliary of Frederickstead. My dad, Glenn Williams, was a veteran, and that allowed me to serve in that numerous organizations. But in all the organizations that I've served, I've been recognized several times, but three that stands out for me is the community that I raised up in Grove Place. They have a weed and seed program, and they recognize me for my community service. The Crusaders Fraternity Club also recognized me for community service. And the Democratic Party, of course, I am running as a Democrat, number 11 on the ballot.
Okay.
The Democratic Party recognized me a few years ago as the up-and-coming Democrat. In addition to the awards that I've received for my community service and haven't want to expand my service, because when I returned home, I went into training young ladies the sport of volleyball because I wanted to give them an opportunity to experience what I experienced. I helped mold them. I helped build their skills so that they could compete for an athletic or academic scholarship award in order to enhance their education. Excuse me. In order to get higher education. And after that, I wanted to widen, my service. I love humanity, and I tell myself when I reflect on this, we need leaders. I remember a quote from Martin Luther King, and he once said, we need leaders in love with justice, not in love with money. We need leaders who are in love with humanity and not in love with publicity. And if we look into that for the individuals that we are hoping to be public servant, if before they get the title and wear the title as senator, any capacity to serve the public, if they're not involved within their community, how do we expect them to love humanity now that they're being paid? So we need to really look at who we're actually selecting as leaders. And in that capacity, I feel I have selected 5 things to focus on: education, agriculture, health, those 3 with GRS, and the economy being of great focus. In our educational system, it is important for adequate funding be set aside for competitive salaries, working conditions that are conducive for learning, maintenance, and material. When you come home, and for me, there wasn't any doubt in my mind that I would return home. But when you come home, and in order to make it, you have to work a second job, which decrease that family time that you want to build your family. That becomes a public and a community issue. Because now you're not around your offsprings long enough to affect the upbringing. That is a great concern. So we need to, and not just for the Department of Education, we need to redirect funding. Look at all the areas that we're generating funds for the government. Look at all the agencies. And we need to redirect the funding and prioritize our spending. In addition to that, in order to have a well-rounded community, we need to appreciate what every individual brings to the table. And it is my estimation that we spend too little in recognizing those who are athletically talented and talented in the arts. We need to invest in our children. It's sad that when we hardly channel money in sports and the child based on raw talent and a few interested individuals, train them and teach them and use their own finances to mold them, and when they go away like Tim Duncan, you expect so much from that athlete. But we focus so much on molding our children, letting them believe that if you don't get higher education to become a physician, that it's like nothing. And I say that because vocational education in education also need to be looked at seriously. We need to prepare our community to work for us. And vocational education in our education system is not working. If it was working, we would not need to hire skilled workers off the mainland after the aftermath of Irma Maria. We would have them here. But we are failing to do what is necessary to implement the curriculum necessary to grow a literate society. We're focused on college prep. And then we're not teaching our children to take advantage of the university here. Because, you can't give the parents wrong, because the government is not working for the people. The government is not setting up the infrastructure for us to want our children to be here. So we need to channel more money in the athletic and finance area.
Okay.
And then when we talk about health, we know, and the government, in my estimation, has to work based on what society is experiencing. At this given point, mental health is a challenge. We drive along the street, we see a lot of mentally challenged individuals, whether they're laying anywhere, sitting on the side, walking, they're recognizable. And we need to address that. So an incentive will be, when we get our registered nurses, just for startup, give them an incentive to help us with a facility as far as providing the service. Once adequate funding is acquired, to build or identify a facility where we can properly house these individuals and give them the medical care that they need. So that is something on my platform. And I believe in being proactive and being in the school system. Something that I recognize why this is on my platform is our young people. They no longer going to the store to buy alcohol. They're keeping it in their trunk, and they're partying, and they're drinking more than ever. And I think that needs to be recognized, and we need to be proactive. So what I am saying here is we need support and education on drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. Even if we say not so much tobacco, we need to realize culturally, more Hispanics are smokers than African American. So, just looking at the entire community, and if we address that proactively, maybe we'll save some of them. Because I'm telling you, some of the young population do not know that of the addiction that can be acquired from the abuse of alcohol. And it's just a party drink to them. And then the utilization of a comprehensive and continuing educational plan. This is my pet peeve. To help our community. And everything focuses on the community, because I feel government need to work for the people. If your government ain't working for you, then the government is not working. And a lot of our people, and just American, are victims of a chronic disease. I myself haven't walked the path of being told that I had cancer. Individuals, I don't know the the real number, but it's a true fact that a lot of individuals in our community have diabetes, hypertension, those two for sure. And of course cancer, because cancer, in my estimation, now it's like an epidemic. So I feel we need to get the money to educate our population on preventative measure, and not only educate them, but guide them into making those true decisions. I haven't walked the path of being a cancer survivor the natural way, and knowing that they told me that I needed chemotherapy, and if I don't take the chemotherapy, then I need to take tamoxifen, which is a pill, and being able to educate myself, because on my journey when I went to America, I actually stayed in a room. It was me, my God, and my computer. And it was so that the doctors told me, it doesn't matter what we tell you, you're going to research it anyway. And they were right, because I researched everything, and that's why I was strong enough, because I was empowered with knowledge. And that knowledge gave me strength to deny chemotherapy, to deny taking tamoxifen. And to date, I don't even take painkillers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take conventional medicine. And I'm not telling people I won't take it. If I need it, I will take it. But rest assured, I will detox my entire body from it. So we need to educate our population in preventative measure. And I feel through agriculture, I know we're talking about another bullet on my platform. Agriculture brings not only health, but wealth. And we need to appreciate the soil. So we need to redirect the funds that we're getting and channel it in the Department of Agriculture, and let the department realize that they should serve as the lead agency for building the agricultural industry. And we need to staff. This is where the legislature comes in. The divisions, the important divisions, horticulture, the abattoir, the pathologists, entomologists, those divisions are important, because if we want to grow, and the horticulture talks from seed to production, if we want to grow agriculture, then we need those experts in the agency that would tell us about the disease that these the livestock get, the disease the plants get. We need those intelligent individuals. Then we need to maximize the use of the university, being that the university was identified as a land grant institute. So all of us, and in doing that, we need to implement a curriculum from the elementary level, as in, of course, vocational education, creating skilled workers. Once we implement that from the elementary level, it will begin to change the mindset of our people. But then the entire community need to buy into this plan. The entire community need to realize that they help build the economy. It's not the legislature, the first branch. It's not the executive branch, the second branch. It's not the judicial branch, the third branch. It's the entire community, all of us, the consumers, the farmers, the small businesses, the government agencies that need food. All of us working together, but everyone needs to be educated on their role in this. So collectively, as a territory, we need to build this economy. We need to realize the circulation of money is important. Our money needs to circulate here 7-8 times before going to another country. We need to realize that America ain't sleeping. America is trying to keep its economy on our backs. You see, because when the Food and Drug Administration approve the manufacturers to put stuff in our food that is not for human consumption, and that alters our cells, a lot of times we end up with the chronic disease. And I teach my kids, my students, sugar is a drug. If you read the history of sugar, you will know it was a party drug way back. Sugar is in just about every American-made food. And I'm talking about refined sugar. I'm not talking about natural sugar in fruits. I'm talking about refined sugar. So, and refined sugar is detrimental to your health. But I'm saying that to say that America helps the money circulate, because after we're sick, we go to the physician, and then the physician sends us to the pharmaceutical, and the pill they put us on is a pill to treat us. And they let us know they're treating us. They never told us they were healing us. So we continue going for the same treatment. And that is one way America keeps its money in America. But now we want to build our community through agriculture. And we want to educate our population that it's important that you buy local. You spend whatever you earn here, you spend it here to keep the money here, to stabilize the economy. And once the economy is stabilized, then we can work on growing the economy. Once we build a sustainable agricultural industry and we can feed ourselves, then we could talk about feeding the Caribbean island. But until we can feed ourselves, we can't talk about feeding another island, another country.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, and then we talk about the I'm not sure if the agriculture. Let me talk some more about agriculture because the implementation of a land and water use plan, I support that. I support land and water use plan because that is why some of our land was identified as agricultural land. You know, so when we can realize that certain areas in our land can be used for particular services, and that can help with developing our infrastructure, then it is my hope that people will realize that will help build the economy. Okay? And the economy. My idea for the economy is fiscal accountability. This election, a lot of individuals are talking about accountability in the first branch of government. That is true, but we need accountability across the board. Mm-hmm. That's why the system was created, for that check and balance. When our legislature allow the executive branch to do at will whatever they choose, it pulls the checks and balance that was created when the development of all branches were formed. So we need fiscal accountability, and in doing that, we need, when the different agencies come to the legislature, they need to come with their goals, whether they have accomplished it or not, and then they need to let us know why they need the money they're applying, mm-hmm. and what's their goal coming up, mm-hmm. and determine whether they have accomplished it or not. And then when we deal with the revenue generating agencies, because our economy is in a drought, we need to let them know they have to build in helping the circulation of money. So they have to improve the money that they're bringing in order to help this stifling economy. Mm-hmm. One of my pet peeves, and I have it on the economy, is sports tourism. That was a big thing for me when I ran a couple of years ago, and everyone was speaking about it. It's so easy to talk about it, sports tourism, but I don't see the infrastructure being fixed for that. Mm-hmm. And like I've advertised, this is an economic blessing. This is an opportunity for us to fix our infrastructure. Building sports tourism is not difficult. Once the infrastructure is in place and you invite individuals to come to our shore, they'll be rushing to come to our shore, and that is important. And from the time they purchase the ticket, we benefit. And when they come here and stay in our hotels, we benefit. And then one thing on the economy is funding the Government Development Bank, funding it to help small businesses. And in my plan, especially excursions, because when individuals come here, we need to be able to show our island. We need to be able to allow them to have fun other than the business that they came for. Mm-hmm. Because sports is a business. If I go to play, and I remember when I was in college and we're going to play, it's serious business. So we're not having fun, and there are a lot of people who just think sports is just fun. but we're not having fun when we're playing. So when those individuals are not competing, they need to know that they can relax doing something else. So we need to build an excursion area in our territory, on our island, in order to capitalize on the spending of tourists when they visit our shores. And then the GRS. I neglected to mention contract labor in under health, and it's here. But I'm also watching your time. But the GRS, years ago, there was this thing where people stated the government needs to be reduced. Well, if you reduce the government, who supplies money to the GRS? Of course, the GRS, the funding in the GRS will decrease. The GRS did not get where it is now overnight. So the idea for me, a lot of people are saying, let's go into 401k. GRS is legally binded to a union contract. You close it down, you're in for a lawsuit. So we have to be creative in how we fix that problem. And I feel the power the legislature has by line iteming a certain amount needs to be utilized. And then there's tier 2 employees that needs to be hired. Because when we hire tier 2 employees, they pay a higher percentage into the retirement system. And then in addition to that, what needs to happen is, here we go again with accountability. The government, the second branch, the executive branch, needs to comply with the law. It is cruel to take money from your check and not put it where the check indicates that it should go. How can you take my money and not pay the retirement loan that I'm supposed to be paying? How can you take my money and not pay into the retirement fund as indicating on that black and white check? So my thing is, when those laws are broken, someone needs to be held accountable. And there's a flaw when laws are created for by the first branch, for the executive branch to implement. But if the executive branch fails to implement it, the law does not have a penalty. So that is the problem. Once the law does not have a penalty, even if you take them to court, the third branch can't really do anything because there's no penalty attached to the law. So that's something that we have to fix, because time has changed so where that when the first branch creates the law, the second branch disrespectfully, for whatever reason, is not following it. So because that happened, now we have to change. We have to go back, study the laws on the board, apply it now where it can be productive to this time, and if we have to apply penalties to make sure that it's followed, then the first branch needs to do that. Okay, I've said a lot, and I know, I'm not sure if you have calls, I'm not sure if you have questions, but I'll entertain them.
We have plenty of questions.
Plenty.
So let's start with agriculture. So I guess your approach is to, I guess the way I look at it is, you have farmer A. He has 2 acres of land now. He's growing cucumber and tomato. Giving this farmer 2 more acres to grow more.
Okay. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I went to a workshop for agriculture because I believe in preparing myself. And then I promised him I would meet with him, but we spoke, and they have already started some of the measures that needs to be done. One being, farmers need to, in order to meet the local demand, they need to focus on 1 or 2 crops. They cannot be all over the place. Right. And that has already begun. And the Department of Agriculture is using their strength as far as funds in helping those farmers that wants to comply, and because sometimes we have stubborn individuals, so they have incentive that they will give these farmers who are buying in to what they're doing.
To growing, yeah.
And another thing that they're doing, if if the property is gained by a farmer and they're not maximizing the use of the property, then they are considering taking it back and giving it to a farmer who wants to maximize the use of it. So, in speaking to the Department of Agriculture, they're doing certain things, but the legislature needs to help them and make sure that they fund various positions in order to expand the industry. And agriculture needs to be that driving force within the industry. And of course, farmers play a very important role, because and what another thing that he told me is they're already talking to the supermarkets, okay, relative to having a section locally grown. So they're starting to do certain things, and having me in the legislature believing in agriculture will only add to the advancement of the agricultural industry.
I think one of the things too when it comes to farming is getting young people involved in the process of farming, because a lot of times people think they think it's sort of a, I don't want to say useless job, but you're out in the field, you're bent over.
But that's why I told you in the platform, you got to start it from young. You have to start it from young. Once you take the kids outside from young and they begin to love the soil and they understand the purpose and they grow in it, even if they leave, they're going to come back to it. Okay, so what we're doing, our government need to make sure that things are in place to mold the community. That's what they need to do. And if we have a curriculum that's focused on agriculture from the elementary level and all the way to the university, and after that, they even see that there's hope in getting employment in our community, the mindset will change.
Will change, okay.
And learn to appreciate local. It's a mindset that has to change, and the government, like I said, through the Department of Agriculture, must take the charge. And like I said, it's my hope when I go into the 33rd legislature, I will be able to help the Department of Agriculture push this agenda through to build this industry that is badly needed here, because I am quite sure that it will help not only in building our economy, but in the health of our community member.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that you talked about too was mental health, and you mentioned too that you I guess you want to get a facility somewhere that can house and treat and support.
Support, understand the illness, and even like I said, give them to get it started, because sometimes you don't have the funding, and we didn't get where we are overnight. So we have to be creative in how we build different areas, and that should be a priority. We need professional staff to address these individuals. Some of them may have some place to stay and just stay. Some of them end up in the hospital, and then they release them with still nowhere to go. But if we have an area where these individuals can be housed, and we have the medical staff, at the site, readily available, I think it'll better serve that population. We have to start trying to address the issues that are evident in our community, and that is one of them. And that is just my idea. Once we get professional staff, once we identify funding to create, whether it's purchase, construct, or just identify a building where these individuals can live a comfortable life and be medically attended to.
Okay. What about the hospital? The hospital is at times struggling itself. appropriating funds to get the hospital in a better state than what it is?
Without lack of intense research, the hospital is struggling. But let me just tell you, when Obamacare was created, and I'm doing some research, so I'm going to speak based on what I have learned so far. We opted to be out of individual insurance. If you're not working for the local government or a company big enough to have you work for over 30 hours, you're not insured. If you are not insured, and this is a population from age 26 to 65, if you're not insured and you go to the hospital and you are treated and you're not making sufficient money, how are you going to really pay your bills, your hospital bill? Okay, and in researching that also, if that population have no individual insurance, because the territory doesn't, you can be qualified for Medicaid or Medicare. If you're young, poor, physically challenged, or I think over 65. I'm not sure. Okay? Poor. Who determines that? That's when you're eligible. But are we really concerned about a population from 26 to 65 that's not insured? They get sick. They don't have no way to pay the hospital. So how can the hospital work better? And those individuals who have insurance have no faith in our hospital. So they seek medical attention elsewhere. So the drain continues. Okay? The drain. Right now, a young lady met me today, and her dad is a veteran. She traveled from the States, and I used my ears. I just listened, and she told me, she said, you need to visit the hospital. They're there, veterans, and if they have no one, they're buying time. That's sad. That's a disrespect to veterans, and it's a disrespect to the elderly. So we need to fix that. Fix that by redirecting funds and prioritizing what needs to be prioritized. And healthcare is one of those.
Yeah. Do you see a possibility of putting like a VA ward in the hospital? I've heard some people sort of talk about that kind of thing.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. We need to tap into a lot of federal funds. And this is my belief now. People are not tapping into federal funds because we're so driven by politically awarding individuals jobs that they may not be qualified for, that they may not be able to perform. So when you ask for federal funds now here, that's great accountability. And that's what we need to tap into. So that is a great idea. That might be a great idea. So we need to tap in. We need to identify those individuals who can actually help us regulate the federal funds, spend it correctly, so that it can free up some of our local money so that we can focus on other areas. Wherever federal funds can help us, that's what we need to tap into. And in my mind, while I'm on this journey to be a member of the 33rd legislature, in my mind, I'm wondering, well, do we need to create an agency that is specifically targeted just to seek federal funds and help us regulate it? I mean, people might say, well, every department has that area, but maybe the time has come now for us to really focus on getting the benefit of those federal funds and not having it go back. Because I'm still hearing, I just heard recently from a senator that federal funds were sent back. Why is that still happening? So we need to make some adjustment in the way we're doing business. We cannot continue to do business the same old. because we'll get the same results, and the result being that our economy is dying. It's on death row. And if we don't change, it's going to be real bad.
Yeah. What about medical tourism? Having, folks coming here to maybe get a procedure and just, staying here for a week, a month.
My approach to that is the same as agriculture. We got to be able to take care of our own. We have to be able to take care of our own. Government need to work for the people. We got to take care of our own before we think about taking care of anywhere else. And that's just my approach. Building from within. Okay? I support my people. I feel my people can do the job just as good or even better than someone from
the outside.
elsewhere. Okay? No disrespect to anyone who wants to come in and help. But if you ask a stranger to sweep your home, rest assured you're going to sweep it better than the stranger, because that's your home.
That's your home, yeah.
And that approach is the same. We need nurses. We have a university there. Give incentive to our high school graduates to attend the University of the Virgin Islands, and then put them to work in our hospital. Why do we feel that because you are not local, you're better? My local people are good. We just need to appreciate it, realize it, and appreciate it, and we'll be better off. Sports tourism uplift our people.
So when you talk about sports tourism, you're talking about, your vision is to build a big stadium.
Oh, that will come, but we got to start it before we build that.
Okay.
Whatever infrastructure we have now, because our economy is dying, we need to give people a reason to come. It can be young children, because with them come their parents. Our goal is starting small, and then we could grow big. But we need to start. We need to start inviting people here and build sports tourism. It can start, the school can be involved. The Olympic Committee through the federations can be involved. And once we have a sports calendar of the organization that is hosting whatever to bring people here, we need to support that and let that be the event for that weekend. Remember, everyone needs to buy in. Everyone play a role in building this economy. Okay? It's not just me. When I look back, everybody needs to be back there, because in my economy, it's all of us doing it together. So, that's why my slogan is, ain't about me, ain't about you. It's about all of we.
Us, total.
All of us, but
Yeah.
all of we. You understand? And I'm on a mission. And my mission is SAS, to provide service above self. And once people can relate to that, and they realize that I'm just at the table representing you, but when I'm at the table, ain't about me. It's about all of us collectively working together, and I'm just being there as a messenger.
Right.
People need to understand that. If I can't represent and serve as a public servant for you, if I don't have you telling me what are your concerns, if there's a problem here, I need to reach out. What's the issue? What is bothering you? What can I do to help? Ain't my idea alone. All of us working together to build St. Croix, to build the Virgin Islands. That needs to happen, and our people need to realize that. So when I hear people tell me on the street, well, I don't vote, right there I say, okay, forget about voting for me, man. I just want you to vote. Why? Because it's your right, and those who came before us fought for that right. And don't disrespect them by not exercising your right to vote. I'm not fighting this fight for me. I'm over 50. I'm on my way out. I'm fighting it for those who coming after me. So when we believe that we're doing whatever we're doing now for us, we're thinking wrong. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for those who come after me.
Come after you,
my
yeah.
children. And that's what our population need to realize. The fight ain't for you. So when you tell me government ain't doing nothing for you, that's self-serving. That's the same thing you accusing the senators of doing. Self-serving. You thinking about you. Let's work together to make the Virgin Islands, specifically St. Croix, a better place. It's a beautiful place. And we sleeping if we don't think people who are coming think that.
Nemmy, let me ask you something. We've been in this situation doing the same thing that we're doing here right now for the last 100 years or whatever the case may be. And this is just soup's perspective, okay? For me, it ain't working because what we're seeing right now is what we have. So, in perspective, to ask, how do you see us being an independent nation, self-reliant, self-sufficient, taking care of our own, meaning that we have our own constitution, we ain't dependent on America no more, and this is a twofold question, and the second part of it is corruption has been gone rampant in every administration comes and administration goes. Is there a degree of separation between street crime and white collar crimes?
Okay, if you listened to me before, I told you where the flaw is in the law. Street crime, the penalty is there. That's missing for crime by the executive branch. It's missing. And that's what I'm saying. We need to apply penalties to legislation that needs to be executed by the executive branch. And that will hold people accountable. That's the only how. The judges can't do anything. A lot of time if it's federal law. But they can't do anything. Look how long the government ain't paying GRS. Criminal. The executive branch.
Right now, we still here parading. We still going out to work every day, giving these people our hard-earned money.
So what?
You know,
What's missing? What do you want the judge to do? Remember, it's 3 branches. The legislature makes the law. Judicial branch.
Well, then, so that means the legislation need to either the legislation need to be non-existent and something else could be created, because if these individuals, these 15 individuals that keep going in there, administration after administration, it ain't just yesterday this thing happened. It just didn't happen overnight. So everybody just sitting back again, and we just keep coming in. We bring in new senators come in, new senators go out, governors come in and they go out, and we still are faced with these same issues that the people them are suffering for. You said it yourself perfectly. This is a beautiful island. This is one of the most gems of the whole world. Okay, and look how we have it running like it's a third world functioning entity that we're running, and we have again one of the world power behind us, United States of America. So that's what I'm saying. Either we need to get rid of the United States of America and be self-sufficient as a people and stand up and let we do what we got to do, because this thing here, something need to change, and they need to change
quickly.
Yesterday.
And I understand your passion, but in my estimation, we're not ready to be self-sufficient. We're not ready.
Why not?
We're not ready. I've said it over and over, the mindset of our people have to change. I keep telling you that. The mindset of our people needs to change.
And what
and we change it, and I gave my plan where we change it and we start from the young individual, the youth. We have to.
But then still you can't, because the youth them live at home. The youth them live with a mother and a father or whoever they live with, but they're not by themselves. So you can't just go to the youth. Then we got to deal with everybody on a holistic.
Yes, we are. We have to. But what I'm telling you is, the school system is so powerful. I mean, tell me, have you never witnessed a child coming home and tell you, my teacher said, do this? So we need to begin there in the school system. Students are believers in their teachers. And not only that, because of the struggles, I told you in my presentation, parents can't be home molding their child like they should. So they're out chasing our money to be able to sustain their home.
We live
And
in
I keep saying the government needs to work for its people, because when I grew up, we had facilities, recreational facilities. We can call them safe haven if you
Right,
want.
right.
We could have gone to it that was very structured. No, that's like non-existent. You know, so we have children rearing children,
That's
and that's
right.
a problem. You know, and the government need to come into play. The government need to identify the concerns, the issues of this society, and address them. And I hear you about white-collar crime. I hear you about being tired of the process. But I can't be tired, because the struggle now ain't as close as the struggle they had. We just got to keep fighting and hope that we get individuals in government who love justice and not money. I told you that from the very beginning.
Nemmy, yeah, that sound like a real a nice entity to be in, but I got to be a realist, and this is the real world that I'm living in today, because again, I'm waking up every day. I'm seeing my mom got to be struggling. I'm seeing us have to be struggling. I'm seeing the little youths them have to be struggling. Administration comes, administration goes. Look at the condition they have our elders living under. Look at the condition we have to go to our schools under. Look at our whole healthcare system. And again, Empress, we're doing this thing over and over and over again. So it's either we're going to try to do it the right way or just change the politics. Again, politics, what politics doing for us? Ain't doing nothing. It ain't doing nothing, ain't justifying nothing. We keep, because I sound like a tape recorder. And because, again, it's like, what are we doing to ourselves? What are we really doing? It's like, I don't care who I put in there. You, me, Kimba, and we go in there. It's like something else is happening, and nobody is saying it, because a blind man could see. A blind man could definitely see. I could leave from here 40 years and come back here, Empress, 40 years from now. And when I come off that plane and I walk down the step for the truck, because I ain't having no jetway, I could put on a blindfold and drive, and I ain't gonna butt up into nothing, because nothing ain't changing and nothing happening. And our people still here continue to suffer. We keep continuing to vote in. A can of corned beef on this island is nearly $5, $6. I say, listen, me eating them thing. But I just showing you the reality of what we living under. And then you want to pay the man them that have an education, $9 and $10 to go to college, to get an education, to come back to this island. And they keep telling we to go do it. And when we come back and we do it, this is just slap in our face. And then you have individuals there that instead qualified to do what you do and gain much more than you. So it's like what you all are telling me. I must come out and vote.
You want to tell me?
I must come out and honor this system that is keeping my people them continually down. It's either we leave it alone and come up, we get the minds together, because we get the minds to do this, people. But it's still like I say, we're afraid to step out of the box, the normalcy of these boxes that is happening again. And I'm going to say it, we need to be independent. We have to have a constitution to say this is what we need to do. Whatever we need to take to get place, who we need to get to write to, at the talk to, or whatever the case may be. Federal funds are coming in here. These people giving us these money. I'm giving you $5 every year to do a certain project. You ain't doing it. And you want to just take back my money and just keep sending back. And I will just accept the fact that you ain't doing what you're doing, and I will just take back the money from you. So what are you giving it to me for, to begin with? And I keep doing the same thing over and over again. So it's a game somebody's playing with our lives. And it's our lives, our youth's lives and our elderly lives are being hampered. Because me and you, as you done said, we don't really, we could finagle ourselves along the way. But the younger youths, them that come in, and the elderlies that here that don't solve, we ain't no justice with these individuals. And nobody's is telling me that they're going to... I don't know what to say no more. It's like this person just coming like redundant. Real redundant.
The system is set up that way. And the way it's set up is for you to exercise your right to vote and
Empress,
make
okay.
make a change. We need to organize. But for some reason, we're so complacent. How do we organize? How do people not be afraid? There is something.
Well, that's the question. How do we make people not afraid anymore? How do we make people feel more comfortable about what we're trying to do?
People, I think we need to be real about this whole situation. We have an entity here right now in place. If I'm working for education and I see the education department is doing something that they're not supposed to be doing or out of character of them, and I, the individual, come forward and say, you know what? This is what I see happening. You know what happened to me, Nemmy? You know what happened to me, Kimba? I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. And ain't got nobody behind me now to come to protect me, to defend me what I'm saying and what I'm talking about. And we see it happening every day. It just happened the other day right here. It just happened the other day. And we just continuing to keep around business as usual. Getting up, driving our nice cars, going to work, looking fancy and pretty and coming back home. But the man in between that, the man that working at McDonald's, he's making $10 an hour now. He got to work 2-3 jobs just to maintain that. Nobody talking about them. How we can continue to keep just defunking our own people them.
I think they're making $10.50 an hour, but you know what the businesses are doing? And like I said, government need to work according to the issue that is affecting its people. So they're making $10.50, but you know what the businesses are doing?
They're cutting back their hours.
Thank you. And when
So they can't get a benefit.
And when they cut back the hours, they're not working that 30 hours that they need to work in order to get
Insurance.
We're killing the society. And until people stop getting tired, and those of us who have nothing to lose, be so concerned about the other person that they're willing to sacrifice, it's going to continue.
You're going to continue.
It's going to continue. You know, you got to be, we need to be able to sacrifice for our children.
Nemmy,
Yes.
I got a question here. Someone on our Facebook stream popped up with a question here. And this person says, what plan do you have to reduce the cost of government?
The cost of government. And like I've said, having not seen the full budget for the government, I'm going to address that. How can I speak on reducing the cost for government, and I'm here saying the Department of Education doesn't have adequate funding?
But they got one of the biggest budgets, though.
Exactly. I'm in education, but are the teachers paying competitive salaries?
No.
I mean,
No.
exactly. I mean,
Working with all the
I
contracts.
understand that individual may say, oh, the government is large. And lately we hear a lot of people saying, oh, put people out of work. I don't support that. People, I'm a union rep. People need to work. Okay? So once we do, and here I am talking about building the agricultural industry. So how am I going to be talking about cutting the budget? What part of the budget they want me to cut? Because we need to channel money in the agricultural department in order to build the industry so that we can be sustained. We have food to sustain ourselves. We don't have it. And we need to spend the money in order to gain it. What they need to ask me is, how are we going to redirect the money in order for us to benefit more from the money?
Well, I think the thing with the Department of Education in particular, I mean, they've got the biggest budget. I haven't seen any numbers this year, but I guess when you look at it, I remember one time I looked at an org chart of the government, and you know there was a lot of positions there on the very top. You know, you got the commissioner and you got the secretary and you got this and you got that, and
No.
you look at that, you think, well, maybe you can consolidate jobs.
No.
And that 30,000, you consolidate it and you consolidate it down, and then you got $30,000 that could go in a pot somewhere.
Okay, but when I have right here, I can restructure government agency to decrease contract labor and unclassified managerial position in order to increase tier 2 government employees. That's not cutting government, but it's redirecting money. And that's what I told you. So if there are duplication of managerial position that we could get rid of, we can do that to create more tier 2 worker. I'm about putting people to work. People need to work in order to take care of their family. You know, and that needs to be realized. You know, it's big and good for individuals to come and say, oh, you need to decrease the size of the government. On whose back?
Now who's back?
On whose back? When my dad was a supervisor in Department of Public Works, they had over 100 or more employees, and they functioned better, and we were better off. So who's to say it's because the government, the cost of the government is larger that we're not. It's not that we're not better off. What we need to do, we need to bring about accountability so people can perform. I'm not going to be caught up in, wow, that's a lot of money. No, let's make the money work for us. Let's make the money work for us. Redirect money in order for us to build this economy, in order for the growth of the economy to be felt in every household, in order for families to be relieved and work one job and to be able to take care of their offspring. We have teachers leaving here every year. Right now, the department is still crying out for teachers, and we're talking about cutting government costs, and the teachers are not being paid competitive salaries. I have a master's degree with credits towards my doctorate, and if I go in Atlanta, I'm getting 60 odd now probably. I'll be getting, my starting pay will be 100 and something. Real talk.
Yeah.
So, let's not come here and imply that our people are making too much money before we look into it. Our teachers are gravely underpaid.
I don't think what the individual really meant is that, and you and I think you said it right. I think you said it perfectly when you said to restructure the money,
redirect the money
to how it's being spent. But two, I mean, to look at, they're talking about 1.something trillion right now for a budget for 1 year, 12 months. I don't know how they run the fiscal budget, if they run it 12 months, 9 months, I don't know. But with our population being decreasing every year, and after these two category 5 hurricanes, we know the population have totally died, and we see it every day in the streets. And to run a government of this magnitude, of this size, for 1.7 trillion, or how many trillion of dollars they're looking at, that's a kind of really enormous budget. And then too, you have even countries that don't have that amount of money behind them. Well, so what is really, I mean, is
I think what we, and excuse me for cutting you, but I think what we need is to look at where the money is being spent in government and redirect money, because the GRS is suffering. We need to channel money there. And of course, over years, we have been saying that the government is top heavy. So we need to look at that area and see how we can adjust it. We need more Indian and less chief. And that's just the bottom line. But to just on face value, just state that we need to cut government, I don't think it's wise. We just need to look into it and see how we can better utilize the funds that we're receiving. The GRS needs money. The GRS was abused when the previous administration gave those early retirements and awarded individuals who retire a lump sum of money. We couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that that contributed to the downfall of the government employee retirement system. So we have to just look at what we're doing and see how we can better spend money. Maybe we have duplications of job that we can do away with. But then when we look into that, we have to be able to give individuals who are working in those capacities a job, if it's on a lower scale. We can't put people out of work.
Let me ask you a question, Nemmy. You mentioned that, I guess when your father was working at Public Works, there was over 100 employees there. And now I think that number is way down. And so I guess a lot of the work that they do is subcontracted out. But if that was working with 100 employees, 100 plus employees, why did they stop it?
Because when politics get into playing departments and we begin this term contract labor that is more costly on the government, that eliminated the labor services performed by that agency. And contract labor should not be a permanent thing. It should be an emergency determination and has a transition plan to go back to departmental labor.
Well, I think too, the whole thing with as you call it, contract labor, that part of it ties into Soup has a business. Soup has a construction business that pays roads. And, that's his passion, to be an entrepreneur and start a business. He's a businessman, and he's got his own company, and I'm his vice president, and we got workers, and we bid on contract. I mean, that's sort of the whole cycle,
I understand that, but like I said, it should not be a consistent thing on the government. It should be there's a lot of work now. You have that contraction business. You go ahead and do it. But for the daily working, the Department of Public Works should be doing that.
Be doing that work.
Should be doing that. If it's a capital project, then you hire the contract individuals. I mean, there's so many different things like nurses contract, the contract nurses that comes. The government pay a lot for that. And that can be cut if we are supported by local nurses.
By local nurses, yeah.
So we have to look into that aspect, and that can be an aspect why the budget is so costly. We have to make tough decisions, those individuals who are going into the legislature, if we want change. And people need to make a determination if they really want change. Because if we do not make adjustment and implement change, we're in problems. Yes.
Okay, and we got another question. Seems like the questions are popping up here tonight. Someone says, please give some examples of how monies can be redirected when all departments have been, can be redirected when all departments have been asked to reduce their budget.
Okay, let me tell you the power of the legislature. 15 senators. Line item the budget. If they line item the budget and they say, it's line item, $20 to buy your shoes. A lot of time the executive branch may leave it there because it's not what they want to spend it, but they can't spend it. That's one of the powers of the legislature. So if we redirect and line item a certain amount of money to spend in the Department of Agriculture to build the agricultural industry, the executive branch executes that. But what happened is the legislative branch has given away their authority by not line iteming money, and they give them a lump sum amount. And once they give them the lump sum amount, regardless of what's on the paper in the budget, they can move that money and spend it on anything that they want. So until the legislature pull back the power that they have based on the system that was created, the problems that we have now will forever exist. The 15 senators need to, in their meeting, determine how to spend government money. The executive branch executes those money. And that's what happened. And
so basically what's happening is basically we have to do more with less. in a sense.
I'm not going to say that. We just have to see how we can make whatever we need to make work now in order to build our economy.
Because it's hard to build your economy. I mean, I was looking at some testimony today, and I think, if I remember correctly, they reduced somebody's budget by $7 million.
But what was affected?
Well, I don't remember the exact details, but just the fact that the budget was reduced could cause some hardship on a department that needs to take care of things within that year.
Okay.
So.
Okay. My thing is, I understand what you're saying, but if the legislature the legislature reduced the budget, or the agency reduced their budget?
Say again now?
Did the legislature reduce that agency budget, or the agency themselves submitted a reduced budget? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how that was. I remember it was like 7-point-something million. And I was just thinking, they're testifying and trying to say, well, we're not going to be able to do the things that we said we were going to be able to do because now we're $7 million short.
Okay, but what were you doing? You see, that's what I'm saying. You have to find out what they were doing. Did they accomplish their goals? How can they accomplish those goals with less, if in fact it can be accomplished? You have to get into the meat of everything. Okay, I don't know that agencies are not spending lavishly. In my estimation, because of what we're what we're experiencing, we can't take as much trips that we normally would take. So where exactly is the budget being cut? Now, for me, if I custom in my household to go on vacation twice a year, and the monies are not coming in, I may not just don't go on vacation for the entire year. So what about for a whole year, no one in the government travels? We just try to work on what we have here, and all expenses for travels are depleted. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the sacrifice that we're willing to make in order to make it work. Because sometime maybe the traveling we can skip it for a year.
Nemmy, I can be honest with you.
Yes, Soup.
It seems like, I don't know, I need to be the fly on our wall, because a transformation that takes place, and it sounds wonderful, it sounds magical, it sounds exuberant, it just sounds out of this world. And then, I don't know if it's 24 hours, I don't know if it's a minute we go into one door and come out the next door, but everybody just go their own way and just have their own agenda to deal with. So how can you, or how will you pursue your counterparts along to come along board with your idea to make government a more accountability and more transparency for our people? Because ain't nowhere happening right now.
And to add what Soup is saying is, we've talked to a few candidates here, and if everybody is in agreement about agriculture and medical tourism and all this stuff, this place should be beautiful.
And it ain't.
Okay, well,
this is where I'm at.
But we're not in there.
Well,
we're not in there.
Okay,
So,
I'll give you that much. So come November, and you get in there, and then the thing
gotta
is,
be able to work with your colleague. Everyone has idea. Everyone
Right.
has things.
But
Everyone has something to bring to the table. Everyone has something to offer, and the package just can't be Soup's package.
Exactly.
It has to be all of
A
our
collective.
package. Yes.
But
So that's the approach.
Everybody is talking about agriculture and increasing it.
And that is true.
Everybody's talking about sports tourism. Everybody's talking about medical tourism. So, come 2 years after November of this year, and nothing's happening, then what was all the talk for?
When that time come, address us then. Now you have to address those who are seeking re-election. They have to run on their record.
Yeah,
We
but
don't have-
we want to be able to vote for you.
Okay, but I just gave you my platform, and I'm answering your questions, and you have to make the determining factor. And like I keep telling people that I'm seeing as I converse, you don't look at a candidate on face value. Look at what they have been doing to determine what you believe they would do. Because I will continue to say, if you do not love humanity before you go in as a senator, you will not when you go in to represent the people. You have to love the people. You have to love helping people. You have to want people to prosper in order to help people. And by God, you cannot love money.
Okay.
Because if you go in there loving money, you could get caught up.
Can I hold you to this? If you get in and I make a visit to your office and you're not there, and I leave a message, is kind enough to say, well, you know what, this man come and check me. Would he at least have the decency to see exactly what was his intent, what he wanted to do, anything like that? To call him back. Okay.
Of course, my door will be open. As a matter of fact, you can hold me to this. I will have a day set aside for constituent visit. And if for some reason a committee hearing or something is scheduled, I will definitely try to make up and reschedule those meetings. You can never not be in contact with the individuals that you're at the table representing. Because if you're not in contact with them, how can you be at the table for them? You gotta hear them out. I got back right? You gotta hear them out.
Of course.
All right. We got another question. We got all kind of questions tonight here. So someone says here, let me get this a little closer here so I can get on the mic here. Someone says, would you be willing to support legislation to remove the Attorney General's office from a cabinet level position to an independently elected office to ensure prosecutions are not politically motivated? That's one of our questions on our sheet here about the Attorney General. So what's your thoughts on that?
For sure.
Okay.
How can he do honestly the task that he's supposed to execute, and the person who put him there is in charge of that area? That's a grave conflict. So without fear, I would support that. Because another thing that I would support, the Board of Education need more power. They're elected officers, Board of Education, by the people.
Yes.
They need more power. The commissioner is appointed by the governor. So, I will support that.
Okay.
Without fear.
Yes.
Okay.
And I stand by my conviction.
Okay. So now it's 9:26. So we got like 4, 5, 6 minutes left. So I want to ask you real quick here about reapportionment.
I support it.
In what context? Because
It brings about accountability. When you look at the numbers, it divides St. Thomas and St. Croix equally in 3 areas because the registered voters are about the same. So even if I indicate that, let's look at it closely and see if geographically we can do something, the bottom line is I support accountability.
Okay.
And because I support accountability and because I believe that will bring about to increase the accountability of our senators, it will force them more to work harder for a segment of the population, I will support that.
What about taking the legislature down from 15 to 11?
I will have to do research and see if that will bring about more service to the people. I'm not going to stay here and say without research, what will that bring that we're not getting now? So, that type of research that will have to be done before I can make a decision on that. And having said that, with the time that we have left, I will be gratefully appreciated if I'm allowed that time to close out and ask the viewing audience to give me their support on August 4th. My number is number 11.
Wait, before you start,
Yes.
we got to have you come back again because we still got a whole list of things here that we haven't even
For
touched.
real?
For real. Well, go ahead and close out because it is 9:27. And it's getting late and it's getting hot. and we all want to go home.
Well, it's been a great opportunity. I want to thank David, you, and Soup, and it was certainly a pleasure meeting you guys. I am real, and I will continue to tell all the viewers, yourself, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about representation for everyone. Okay? If you can't feel it, then it's not happening. And we need to make sure that government works for the people. The people need to feel that relief. Okay, my name is Nemmy Jackson. Again, I am number 11. I am running as a Democrat. I believe in labor for people. I support reapportionment. I ask you, humbly ask you for your vote. Your vote counts. I'm on a mission, and my mission is to provide service above self, without a doubt. We need leaders in love with justice and not money, in love with humanity and not publicity. And you don't need to look any farther. I'm here to work with my colleagues and, of course, every member of this community in making sure that we experience relief here in the territory. I thank you so much for viewing, and I look forward for the next time that I'm on this show.
Okay, we're definitely going to have you back after the 4th. Our guest tonight is Nemmy Jackson. She's running for office here. She wants to be a senator for the United States Virgin Islands. I want to thank you for coming through. We really didn't get into the meat of what we have here. We got a long list here, but we'll have you back for sure because there's a lot of important things that we didn't get to. But it's all good. Thank you for coming through and sharing your platform with us. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Soup, any final words?
Nemmy, been a pleasure. I wish you more success. Rastafari live, one perfect love.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like to say one perfect love is our prayers and his blessings. When you put it all together, you get one perfect love, man. So on that note, we're out. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week. This is the It's Your Perspective Talk Show, 340-201-9005. And we're out. Peace.
Are we off? It was good.
Who are you? Me and my best friends, the baddest in the room. Acting like you got it, won't you spit and set the mood? Mood. We ain't got no time for bro niggas. Hope you really bounce.
Up at me now. Here we go, here we go. Under low, under low. Nobody got enough. Yeah, yeah.